Hi, I'm Vicky from AfricaHackTrip. We're a group of developers and designers from Europe who didn't know about the vibrant East African tech scenes. When we learned about them, we instantly wanted to meet them. And we believe that if you really want to connect to someone, you should meet them in person. And that's why we decided to just do it and go to Africa.
The narrative about Africa is that of the Africa of the 80s and 90s. And the Africa of the 80s and 90s is not the Africa of today. Sometimes you have to be here to see that because the stories you hear and see on television don't do it justice. There's all this technology coming from it, there's all these developers. There's a guy who's actually better than you at Python here. There's a guy who's actually better than you at web design. There might be more good web designers and more Python guys in the country you come from. But there's guys who are equally as good. And that's the great thing about it these days, is that no matter where you go, you'll find people with common interests, with common skill sets even.
With smart people in a room together, it doesn't matter what race, what gender they are, just bring their talent right there and their creative juices. Things are going to happen.
They've laid out a fiber optic network across the country, in every district. Now, with the broadband policy, is basically to make sure that people should be able to access internet at good prices. If we're going to be an ICT hub, if we're going to be an IT-led economy and stuff like that, then there must be a structure, there must be the market.
It's a huge continent, it's massive, cultural differences, access to technology and all those things. This market is different, so it has to be treated differently. So we need to have the presence here in order to understand this continent and then develop something relevant for this continent.
We already have kind of like people who can make apps, can make softwares. But the challenge right now is markets, because most of the it's not only government, even private entities still consider solutions from outside quite superior than local solutions.
Some of the fastest growing economies are all from Africa. So people actually are willing to invest in smartphones because there's a lot of value in having a smartphone. It's the only device people can have to access internet and information. They don't have laptops, they don't have tablets. It's the only device, the only avenue to information. So we have to ask what we can learn from this continent. What I can see, Europe is actually lagging behind in many aspects. If you think about electronic voting or mobile identification and that sort of things, this continent is far ahead of Europe. Many of these countries, they don't have legacy technologies in manufacturing, in business, logistics and many other areas. So these countries, when they have good government and the resources, they can actually leapfrog from having not really any technologies to having the very latest, most innovative technologies.
You could go to places where technology is already solving these problems. We're not speaking about something, wow, new technology, just existing technology that's being used around the world. If we apply it where we have for even transportation, for traffic, that could save lives. I don't want to say solve problems, it's about saving lives.
You see, even with M-Pesa, we are in Africa and then we just leapfrog technologically so many steps because of a problem. So we don't have a good banking infrastructure. Necessity is the mother of invention. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of necessity in Africa. So hopefully we're going to have very cool inventions from Africa.
In order for this to be sustainable, we need guys who look at the investment opportunities in Africa in technology the same way they would anywhere else in the world.
It's a lot of collaboration. The key thing that we have access to the local knowledge. You cannot do things with people who are from Europe or States for this market. So it has to be made by Africans for Africans.
Visitors are good, but they remain visitors, and us we remain they remain guests and we remain hosts. There's no community there.
The face-to-face connection has to happen first. So, the fact that, your group from the AfricaHackTrip is here from, representing Europe into East Africa, into the East African tech hubs, is really important. You have to understand the difference in culture here. It's very important that people have FaceTime with everybody. So now when you email somebody in the future, they're going to respond to you. Whereas it might have been really hard to do that in the very beginning.
You are looking, and many others are looking for a discussion on eye level with partners here in Nairobi or in Kampala, Kigali, wherever. And GIZ and Ministry of Foreign Affairs and others, they organize regular conferences, and they invited a large group to Republica and to other settings to come by. And now we have this extreme barrier that we have set up that makes it very, very difficult for people from here to travel on their own account. Like you did, we're just interested, we don't have funding, we just want to take a look. These people are young, they're mostly single, they're entrepreneurs, so they don't have a steady income, and they don't have any assets. And then they want to meet other businesses as well. Now, if they come with that list to the German embassy here, they don't even need to fill a visa application form, they're rejected outright. We can't get these people in. GIZ will proudly print their pictures in the brochures, and we did this workshop in Nairobi, and we did this in Kampala, and we did all that. But when they come, even when GIZ invites them, they get a visa from the morning of the start of the conference to the evening of the end of the conference, and that's it. If you want 2 extra days, it doesn't work. The costs are outrageous. The process is outrageous. It is so unfair to have that. Because the teams here, they need global exposure. To deliver world-class services, you need world exposure. And we can only do that by inviting people in, by letting them choose to come in whenever they want to and to the directions they want to go.
As always, first I was walking down the corner and I saw Larry, and this is the way it started.
A barcamp is just like computer free.
Everyone just proposes topics, so if you have a crazy idea for a discussion round, if you have any questions or a topic that you want to talk about, like these folks did.
Hello everyone, my name is Efraim.
My name is Philip.
I'm Isaiah.
I'm Emmy.
I'm Edward.
My name is Victor.
I'm Melissa.
I'm Mark. I'm Emmanuel. Lulu.
My name is Michael.
My name is Rose.
My name is Abila.
I'm Shafiq. I'm Sebastian.
My name is Nelson.
I'm Julie.
I'm Robert.
I'm Akaniza.
I'm Adam Kobi.
My name is Tobias.
I'm Aran Ashera.
Matondana.
My name is Tim.
Hi. I'm Sam Emmanuel.
Hackathons are mostly focused on competition and winning stuff, but we want to focus on working together, designing together, programming, collaborating.
You can bring any project you want, you can do anything you want.
The goal is also to have like a sustainable collaboration.
I hope you're all ready to hack.
Me? Okay. I'm Irene. I'm a student in Senior 5.
I'm just starting the new life of developer.
I love web programming.
I'm PHP developer.
I'm interested in open source, Java, Ruby.
I'm a software developer.
I'm interested in business development.
I'm a designer, UX designer.
I help in actually managing the space.
I'm glad to be in a room full of ICT geniuses.
My job proposal is on Nairobi Dev School. It's a hacker school that I set up, and we've started our first batch in Nairobi.
I want to propose a project to collect funds through PayPal and can be able to pay them out through the mobile systems that we have in Rwanda.
I want us to come up with as many ideas as possible about why we need designers in software development process.
I was with a group that was discussing privacy and security. There's an interesting difference between privacy and security perceptions, especially in Europe and here. Because over there, everyone's really paranoid. Here, anyone, even who's really tech savvy, is okay with using technology for the value exchange of it.
So the good thing is we found out the app that we wanted to build already exists, and it's really cool. Then it turned out that the people that did that are actually here. They agreed to open their data so we can use it. And they're also thinking of working together and pushing this project forward.
Ideas, share them with people. Share them with people, that's the only way you're going to make them work, because we have a lot and we don't know how to make it work.
The app is supposed to be able to map places you've been to and draw the paths that you took, tell you the distance that you covered, the speed at which you are moving, if you're driving, walking, running or cycling.
We decided to build an app to try to address this problem of being able to know where in Kigali and when you can get good internet and have some data on it.
Like in the States or in Europe, you know, it really varies by where you are, and that's about it. Here it varies by time dramatically. The app knows what your carrier is. There's also ping times, obviously, like Michael said. We're going to show charts that show over time, you know, where if it's getting better.
We're working on a news and RSS reader for Firefox OS.
This system basically has some LEDs, shift registers mounted here. We have a buzzer down here, an Arduino Uno mounted on this side, and then you have an ultrasonic sensor here which is used to sense distance.
I came up with an automatic gate which can be opened remotely with a mobile phone or on a PC.
I'm presenting the Dospoa app. It has a few categories like salams for greetings and pickup lines, food and dish.
AfricaHackTrip cooking team.
Yesterday in the morning, we were like, "Oh, is this actually gonna work?" And we were not sure at all. And the last 2 days have been so awesome.
This was our last event from like after 4 weeks of a trip. And I want to thank you all for coming today and to spend some time with us, to be open, share ideas and collaborate on projects. And I hope that we can keep that beyond the trip.
Our tech ecosystem consists of a community, and the community is very diverse. It's startups, developers, hardware engineers, researchers, and then there's other people doing cool stuff in the corporate world, in the government world, NGOs.
There's been a growing hardware community in Kenya, and we need a space where people can work in electronics, arts, design, can come together and have access to the tools, the equipment, and the software, take the product from a concept through prototypes to actually being a product.
HiveCollab is a technology-driven incubation space to help grow the technology community here in Uganda. We are offering them services that would rather be expensive at this material time, like accessible internet, a space to come and meet their fellow developers, opportunities for networking, which also grow into venture capital funding, and many more funding opportunities and challenges.
When I was at university, I wish I could actually have a chance to be at a space like this, because as university students, you know, you get knowledge so much that you actually don't get an environment to actually work on the knowledge you have. It's actually not only ideas, but also, you know, like skill generation, peer-to-peer learning, those kind of things, and people, and even the power of expression, just people having a chance where they can actually talk about what they're doing.
We work at the office, which is a really amazing co-working space. We really wanted a space that reflected our culture, which was collaborative, fun, and just innovative. We have lots of exciting community events, like TEDx events, or like we got to host a hackathon, and also the AfricaHackTrip.
So it's a place where we can say, or we can show what we can do, and other people can see what we can do. Through that place, actually, I got funded. So if there were no such place, now I wouldn't be here.
In terms of the community, a lot of the support is coming from external sources. There isn't so much investment from literally the community. So how will that change? Will that change? Because presumably the long-term success of the hub is actually dependent on the hub being supported by the community that it's supposed to be serving. And then I think there have been murmurings, this is maybe a little bit off topic, about to what extent the African community can connect to other communities.
It has been more of a boom. I use that word specifically because it did happen rapidly. If you're one of the early groups like we were with the iHub here, nobody believed in the idea, nobody wanted to fund it. Why would we build a place for tech guys in Nairobi to meet up? Like, what's the reason for that? And so I think that, the few that started earlier, what they ended up doing was giving a model or hey, see how it's being done over there, we can do that here. By the beginning of 2010, I think we had like 4 or 5 in the whole continent. By 2011, maybe that had doubled. But 2012 was really the big year.
It's important for African countries, Africa as a whole, to be able to compete in the global knowledge tech marketplace, and that we can use these hubs as the infrastructure to support that. And the reason is there are certain very fundamental gaps in the enabling environment. So you can't get power, you can't get access to internet, you can't find people who are like-minded. The hubs can become a place where if you're interested in African tech, you can find who you need, what you need by coming to the hub.
In Africa, mostly it's the community that matters. So you'll find that people don't visit places, they visit people in those places.
I'm part of a group called Girls in ICT Rwanda. At least I noticed that a lot of the young men that I speak to, even if they're going to study architecture or something, they'll still take an ICT course, like they value it as a skill. So we decided to form a group, and we visited schools in Kigali, especially girl-only schools, and we try and encourage them to study ICT. So we're trying to get them to realize whatever you do, you're actually going to need this. It will help you in the long run. And also you could make this your career, because when you're done, don't even consider that.
Apps and Girls, it specifically caters for secondary school girls and university students. We arrange events. For example, we did the Jumra workshop and we got 35 women. And also for secondary schools, we introduce them to coding, and then we link up all the schools, they come at once, and we do a barcamp or boot camp.
It's basically a community to help empower girls in ICT to improve their programming skills and their entrepreneurship skills. We usually meet on Fridays between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. On average, about 15 to 10 girls come. Right now we are in training Ruby on Rails, and we want to start Drupal training. Just show up with your laptop, they give you the software that you need, they train you for free. Yeah.
I'm a trainer at Nairobi Dev School. It's not the typical school, it's not the typical teacher-student thing, it's a community, it's like the tech community in Nairobi just kind of doing their thing together. So our program is actually full-time. It's a 12-week program. It's like trying to get well-equipped beginner in web development, if I may use the word, kind of allow them to now go out there and continue learning on their own. My hope for the dev school is that it's going to be a start for Africa starting to come with our own solutions, a beginning of a different kind of culture of creating, concept creation, or co-creation, if I may say, building stuff together, kind of not just solutions for Africa, as we keep saying, but worldwide solutions.
This year has been one of the most successful years that we have had in the community, that has really gotten us attention from all over the world. We had the Firefox Flicks event, whereby all over the world we made a record of having most flicks uploaded compared to most of the regions. Currently, there's a team that has gone to Brussels, about 12 people in Brussels for the Mozilla Summit.
Mozilla community is really strong here. I have the impression they are very much involved in the entire community. Like everyone is aware of them being here. Everyone sees like kind of the energy and the resources they put into this community, and everyone appreciates it. I think like they are like really like a leading organization here when it comes to community building, which is really, really great.
I'm the founder of NLab, the lab which is located at Kongolamboto. We started with 10 students, and so far the students who have attended our sessions are more than 100. My real goal is to come up with an institution to train, to teach, mostly kids and young people, as in on the side of software development. Because we are the one who knows what we need here in Africa, right? Yeah, we know the environment, we know our problems and everything. Now, what if you have people who knows the environment and are ready to come up with solutions to those problems around those environments?
We've had a lot of applications coming out of the community, but not enough of them basically getting used by the population. That's why we put this lab together to collaborate with other people around the world who have a more developed human-centered design culture to come and then teach these approaches and methods to the community, and hopefully then solutions that are built are more successful and to keep solving more African problems by using smart design.
It's good for people to understand technology where they are and how they can customize whatever they're doing instead of copying other applications that work in different places. There's so much customization that can be done in Africa in specifically addressing the needs of the people of where they are.
Because it's a big disadvantage right now to compete with European products that have used this smart design process to be built, and then you have an African product that is not as smartly designed and therefore can't compete, and that's what we're trying to at least level that playing field. So A, we are competitive, but B, and more importantly, we are able to solve African problems.
Students at the university have come up with a portable solar-powered, a mobile solar-powered poultry egg incubator, and they figured out a way how to use Arduino microcontrollers to measure temperatures and stuff like that. We don't have electricity, so hence the solar. So the people that really need it don't have access to national grid, and it being small and mobile is also helps the fact that the families that need it they're not into the big business. The investment that you put in minus the investment for the box, yeah, $5 to buy a tray of eggs, and at the end of the day, at 100%, you have 30 hens or chicken. Once that is done, I can imagine it being in every household, like poor rural area.
First incubator, I will give it to my mom, which can be more useful to her. She can farm chickens, and I may go back at home and eat chickens.
If you show how many people you're going to help, then you may get funded very easily. But if you just wanted to look at it as you're looking for money for a business, it's not going to work.
If you want to buy something like an app for your Android phone, then there's the Google app or Google Store, and it can just be $0.99 US. But then you have to go through the long way of buying that through a CRDB, Tembo card, your credit card, and the transfer costs about $2. So at the end, you end up paying $3 for the same application. But then, getting your card you're authorized to buy online is another issue.
Technology and smart design it really can help solve quite a few of these problems without necessarily needing huge government interventions or huge financial investments, but smart thinking and smart design. For me, that's the African Renaissance. The young person or the new generation doesn't wait. It says, what can we do about this?
AfricaHackTrip, is it a trip or a hack to take a trip? I don't know, but I like the result.
My first thought about it was it'd be a fun thing to do myself, right? I haven't traveled to every single tech hub in Africa myself. I know a lot of the people, but I haven't been able to visit everything.
The most important thing that has come out of the 2 days that we've had with the AfricaHackTrip is just the whole synergy that came out of collaboration. Just seeing people working together to solve problems is not something that is very common in Kigali. And
I was able to learn so many things, like meeting new people during the events which were taking place like outbox. I met people and listening to their ideas that inspired me so much. It made me feel like, wow, this has been something nice.
What I would really love is to see more of that collaboration in the tech community, not just even here in Rwanda, but all over Africa and the world. And I think that great ideas have come out of just this 2-day hack trip, and I would love to see more of that. I'd love to see more people come and just help us figure out ways to deal with problems that we're facing here in Rwanda, because they might be quite different and challenging.
There's no borders where we sit. Right? We're in the digital world, and so there's no reason to let a border separate you from working on a project with somebody else. It's just about digital communication and then having kind of shared code repositories, things like that, and then you can move forward.
The other important thing is to invite people to come over to Europe, and only then I think can any meaningful collaboration start, because you need to understand the context of each other on where you're coming from and where you're based.
The next guys who come quick. We enjoyed it. That's the speech.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I've had as much fun as you.
Runny rhythms span the beat.
Jamming, 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 jamming. Everybody welcome for peace. Dancing, 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 dancing. Everybody let's jump for peace. Jamming, 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 jamming. Dancing, 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 dancing.
However long the journey will be, we will walk till the end. Keep fire, let not shock it. So we are jamming, jamming for peace. We are dancing, dancing for peace.
Great Abyss Village, Mama. We are going to that village, and we will live in that country. We will learn to stay together, cause there is peace in that country. Lugara, Lugara, Sanina Tabele, Alabu Lugara.